welcome to your deep dive.
Mm.
Today we are going to go beyond just, winning arguments.
Fire.
We're diving into like the core of
Yeah.
how they're built,
Nuts and bolts.
how to like spot weak ones, and how to be more persuasive yourself.
Absolutely.
It's almost like getting like an argument ninja toolkit.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be using excerpts from a critical thinking textbook.
Okay.
But don't worry, this isn't dry theory.
Right.
You'll be surprised how these concepts pop up everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
From news articles to online debates.
Yeah. Have you ever felt like you're being led along by an argument, but something feels off? Like something feels wrong?
All the time.
We're going to give you the skills
Exactly.
to pinpoint exactly why.
Our focus is on two key things.
Okay.
One are the argument's foundations true,
Okay.
and two is the logic sound.
Okay.
And we'll use examples from history, science, even pop culture
Awesome.
to make it all click.
Love that. So by the end,
Yeah.
you'd be like breaking down arguments like a pro.
Oh.
Ready to start your training?
Let's do it.
Awesome.
So first,
Yeah.
let's define what an argument is in this context.
Mhm.
It's not just disagreeing loudly.
Right.
It's about giving specific reasons
Okay.
to back up your point.
So less shouting match,
Right.
more like a carefully constructed building.
Exactly. The building blocks are premises,
Okay.
which are statements supporting your main point, the conclusion.
Okay.
Like that classic example. All humans are mortal. Socrates was human. Therefore, Socrates was mortal.
Boom. Nailed it. Solid logic there.
Yeah.
But I bet things get trickier in the real world.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing to watch out for
Okay.
is that not every sentence is a statement.
Wait, really?
That can be part of an argument.
How can a sentence not be a statement?
It's about whether the sentence can be true or false.
Okay.
Questions,
Right.
commands,
Mhm.
those can't be true or false.
Okay.
So they're not the building blocks of arguments.
So like a headline, like, is this new tech the answer to climate change?
Right.
That's not an argument itself.
No.
It's prompting one.
Precisely, it's trying to get you to think,
Right.
but it hasn't actually made an argument yet.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. But real arguments aren't always laid out so clearly.
Mm-hmm.
What about when there are like missing pieces?
You've just hit on unstated premises.
Okay.
These are things the arguer assumes everyone agrees on,
Oh, sneak.
but they don't say them out loud.
Okay, give me an example of that. I'm picturing like a trapdoor in the argument.
Imagine someone arguing against a new park because it'll cost money.
Okay.
The unstated premise is that things costing money are always bad,
Right.
which might not be true.
So it's like they're skipping a step,
yeah,
hoping you won't notice
exactly.
missing piece.
And the order of premises and conclusion can get jumbled too.
Oh, fuck.
Plus, sometimes even a question or exclamation
Okay.
can be part of an argument if it's expressing a clear underlying point.
So context matters.
Context matters a lot.
Like if I say, is this the best we can do, in like a frustrated tone,
Exactly.
I'm implying that the answer is no,
Ew.
even though I didn't explicitly say that.
Exactly. You're getting the hang of this.
I think so.
Now let's move on to the truth
Okay.
of those building blocks.
Right.
The premise is a premise can be true,
Oh, okay.
even if we don't know it's true yet.
Wait, how can something be true if we have no proof?
Think about early warnings on smoking.
Okay.
Back then, the argument that smoking causes cancer was valid,
Right.
even before we had all the scientific data we do now.
Wow.
Right.
That's making me think differently about truth.
Yeah.
It's not always about what we know right now,
Right.
but what further research might reveal.
Exactly. And this highlights why
Yeah.
staying open to new information is key.
I like that.
Now, let's tackle the second big element,
Okay.
proper form,
Proper form.
meaning how the logic of the argument works.
Okay, so even if the premises are solid,
Yeah.
the argument can still fall apart.
It can totally fall apart.
If the logic is wonky,
Precisely think of it like a recipe.
okay.
Even with good ingredients, if you don't follow the steps correctly, the dish is ruined.
Okay, yeah, no, I get that. I'm starting to see how this is more than just like winning debates. It's about
Yeah.
better thinking overall.
Absolutely.
Are there different types of argument logic
Yes.
that we should be aware of?
Yes, there are deductive and
Yeah.
inductive arguments,
Okay.
each with its own strength.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay, deductive versus inductive arguments. Break those down for me. I'm guessing one is like a slam dunk and the other is more of a Likely but not guaranteed situation.
That's a great way to put it. Deductive arguments aim for that slam dunk. If the premises are true, the conclusion must logically follow.
Like our Socrates example earlier, no wiggle room there.
Exactly. But inductive arguments are more about building a strong case, even if it's not 100% certain.
Okay, so more like a courtroom where you're presenting evidence, but the jury could still decide the other way.
A perfect analogy. Think about predicting the weather. We have data patterns, but we can't be absolutely sure what'll happen. That's inductive reasoning.
This is making me realize how much of life relies on inductive logic, not just science stuff.
Absolutely. Now, even in a strong inductive argument, each premise has to be relevant, meaning it actually supports the conclusion. No throwing in random facts just to sound smart.
Right, like if I'm arguing for a new library talking about how much I love pizza isn't going to help my case unless the library has amazing pizza maybe.
Well, in that case, it might be relevant, but you've hit on a key point. Relevance matters, and then there's dependence between premises, meaning how they work together.
Okay, remind me how that works again. It's like some premises are lone wolves and others are team players.
Exactly. Independent premises each support the conclusion on their own, but dependent premises are linked. If one falls apart, the whole argument weakens.
So back to our Socrates example. All humans are mortal, and Socrates was human, are a tag team. They need each other to make the argument work.
Precisely. Now, let's put on our argument ninja gear and tackle some real-world examples. Imagine you're reading an article claiming a new study proves meditation reduces stress. How would you approach this?
All right, first I'm putting on my skeptic hat. I want to see that study. Who were the participants? How long did they meditate? Was there a control group? All those details matter.
Excellent. You're already testing the truth of their premise. But even if the study is solid, we need to look at the logic connecting it to the conclusion.
Right, because maybe those people were already less stressed to begin with, or maybe something else in their lives changed during the study period.
Exactly. Correlation doesn't equal causation. Just because two things happen together doesn't mean one caused the other.
So the article might be making a leap in logic, assuming the meditation was the only factor.
Precisely. And then let's say they go on to argue that everyone should meditate to reduce stress. What's tricky about that conclusion?
Well, even if it worked for the study participants, who might be a very specific group, it doesn't mean it'll work for everyone. People are different.
Exactly. That's what we call relevant dissimilarity. There might be key differences between the study group and the general population that make the conclusion too broad.
Like maybe the study was only on college students, and they handle stress differently than working parents, for example.
You got it. Now, let's switch gears to a moral argument. Let's say a politician is arguing for stricter environmental regulations, claiming it's our duty to protect the planet for future generations.
Okay, so here the conclusion isn't just about facts. It's about what's morally right or wrong.
Yeah,
But we still need to analyze the logic.
exactly. First, is there strong evidence that our current actions are harming the planet in a way that impacts future generations? We need to look at the data.
Right, because maybe they're exaggerating the problem, or maybe there are other factors at play that they're not considering.
Excellent point. And even if the premise is solid, we have to ask if stricter regulations are the best way to achieve the goal.
So maybe there are more effective solutions, or maybe those regulations would have unintended consequences that could harm people in the present.
You're getting it. A strong argument considers alternatives and weighs the pros and cons. It's not just about making a passionate plea, it's about reasoned justification.
This is making me want to listen to political speeches with a whole new level of attention.
I encourage you to do so now for one final example. Let's say you're reading a historical biography claiming a particular leader was a tyrant. How would you approach this argument?
Well, first I'd want to know how they're defining tyrant. Is it just someone I personally disagree with, or are they using specific criteria?
Brilliant. We need a clear definition to even begin evaluating the argument, and then what kind of evidence are they using to support their claim?
Right, because if it's all based on biased sources or interpretations by their enemies, that's a problem. I'd want to see a variety of perspectives and primary sources.
You're thinking like a true historian, and remember, history is complex. A good argument avoids simplistic narratives and acknowledges the nuances of the past.
This deep dive is making me realize how many arguments I've accepted without really thinking them through. I feel like I've got a whole new set of lenses to see the world with.
That's the power of the Argument Ninja Toolkit. You now have the skills to dissect arguments, identify weaknesses, and make more informed decisions.
This is pretty mind-blowing stuff. I'm ready to put my skills to the test, but I think we need a little break before we dive into the final takeaways.
An excellent idea. We'll return shortly to wrap things up and leave you with some final thoughts to ponder.
Okay, we are back.
back for more.
For the final round
Yes.
of our Argument Ninja training, I'm feeling pretty pumped
Yeah.
to sharpen these skills even further.
Excellent. Let's solidify what we've learned and see how it can really make a difference in your life.
All right, hit me with the key takeaways. What should we be walking away with from this deep dive?
First and foremost, remember that arguments aren't just for formal debates.
Right.
They're woven into the fabric of our daily lives. From the news we consume to the conversations we have.
So we need to be constantly aware, like having those argument ninja senses tingling all the time.
Precisely, don't just passively absorb information. Engage with it, critically question the premises. Look for logical gaps and consider alternative perspectives.
This is making me think about all those times I've nodded along without really thinking things through. Like I was accepting arguments on autopilot.
It's a common trap, but now you have the tools to break free. Remember, evaluating arguments isn't about being a contrarian or always trying to win, but about getting closer to the truth.
It's about making better decisions, both for ourselves and for the world around us.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that critical thinking is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
It's a skill you hone over time with practice and a willingness to learn.
So even seasoned argument ninjas are still learning and refining their techniques.
Absolutely. There's always more to discover, more nuanced arguments, to analyze more ways to strengthen our own reasoning.
I love that it's not about reaching some perfect level of knowledge, but about constantly engaging with ideas and challenging our own assumptions.
Precisely now, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder as we become more adept at analyzing arguments. Does it also make us more persuasive?
Ooh, that's a good one. It makes me think about the responsibility that comes with knowledge. Just because we can be more persuasive, should we? What are the ethics of using these skills?
Indeed, it's a reminder that understanding the power of argumentation is both exciting and challenging. We have the potential to influence others, and it's up to us to wield that influence wisely.
That's a powerful message to end on. So to our listeners, we say go forth and use your argument ninja skills for good.
Yes.
Question everything, think critically, and never stop learning.
That's it for this deep dive. Until next time, happy arguing.